the next group of subpersonalities that I was just mentioning, relational subpersonalities, which is the parts of us that develop through the meetings we have with other people during our lives. And it has all kinds of possibilities. It can be very, very positive, uplifting relations we develop with other people. And the impression within us is that it creates our version of the person that we actually are connected with. So it's important to say that all subpersonalities are our versions. It is within ourselves, and how our parents and our friends and our colleagues really impress us. It creates our living version of them within our inner world.
Yeah.
And it's deeply fascinating.
Very fascinating.
And especially when we realize that we should not expect our inner version of a person to be the same as the outer person.
No,
because
but often we do.
Exactly. But relational subpersonalities can be that we have a very traumatic experience with a person, and it creates really a victim version within us, and a demonization of that person. So we have both the victim and that dangerous being in there. So two aspects are created within us.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. At the same way, we have people who uplift us, and they become kind of lights within us, and makes us stand in our very shining nature. And when we step into that role that is inspired by that, we are able to do a lot of things. And this is also to say, some subpersonalities are inhibited, and they are really contained within small spaces. Other subpersonalities are very well functioning. They are really our play partners in life. They are very good working musicians in our life orchestra. But they are all potentially able to unfold an inner gem, an inner core, but it can be held back by different situations we experience in life. So this is the other group of subpersonalities.
Yeah. And I would like to say a bit about these relational subpersonalities. We could also say that it is our outer relations that we have internalized.
Exactly.
And these inner internalizations is our image of the other, and very often we project our image of the other upon them, and sometimes we then get disappointed because people don't live up to our expectations. There's a difference between how we perceive them in our inner world and how they act in the outer world. But we have a very fascinating work with these relational figures, because one of the most important one is our inner father and mother. And this inner mother and father comes in many different versions, because there is a shadow mother, and that's the part of the mother that we could not integrate because she was a threat for us. So she gets pushed out. So when we start working with these inner relational subpersonality, and it's very important to do so, then we discover that these inner relation act like they are living persons. And to take an example, I've done a lot of work with my parents, and my inner mother believed that she was the outer mother. That's a very, very difficult thing, because the inner mother has my inner mother the image I've built up inside of me believes that she's the outer mother, and of course start directing me with my mother's values and needs. And it's very, very annoying to have my parents speak inside my head, because I'm me, I'm not my mother. So this is,
exactly,
there's really a dynamic going on. And in some psychoanalytic work, they call it object relations. There is a relation between the inner child and the parent. And we have to break that relation in that respect, that we actually very often and sometimes work with the inner mother and make her realize that she's not the outer mother. She's actually the inner mother, and can start having a totally new and different life inside of me, because they are part of my psyche, with my qualities, with my possibilities. And this create, and I think this is something that has really revolutionized my inner life, because suddenly my father and mother start seeing me and start cheering on me on the inner levels, because they understand where I come from and who I am. And so this conflict between, if we have been brought up in with a family background and our parents have not been able to see who we are, then we can actually break that spell in some way and start having a happy childhood again, when the inner parents start realizing the wonderful man that I have become. In my own promising perceptions. So just to give some examples of how important this work is with the relational parts.
Yeah, exactly. And you touch upon a cornerstone of soul flow work, realizing the utmost importance of the father and the mother and the child, which is a kind of core trinity within us. So the father aspect is really the male energy. It is the man. It is the masculine part of us, animus, as Jung would say. And we have the mother, we have the female, the woman nature within us. And then we have the third part, which is this very magical, adoring child nature that we always have. So the basic trinity, as I see it, really is to recognize that the masculine, feminine, and childlike aspect of us can be found in endless variations, in a way, in all subpersonalities, really. So this trinity of possibilities is a world in itself. And of course, the inner child is, without any comparison, the most famous subpersonality in the world. And it is really hot to talk about the inner child. And, here in Denmark, and certainly in many other countries in the world, you have educations to become inner child therapists. So famous is this subpersonality that it becomes a whole world in itself. In a way, it is a little unfair that you only focus on the child nature, because as we are unfolding now, we contain a huge universe of facets.